So you're thinking about living in Foley, Alabama? Maybe you've heard about the beautiful Gulf Coast lifestyle, the lower cost of living compared to many other coastal areas, and the fact that you're only minutes away from some of the best beaches in the country. But before you pack the boxes and start the house hunting here in Foley, there are a few things you really need to understand about living here. Because for a lot of people, Foley can be an amazing place to live. But for others, there are a few things that can definitely catch you off guard if you're not prepared. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the real pros and cons of living in Foley, Alabama. The things locals love, the things that can take some getting used to, and the things that most people don't realize until after they move here. And make sure you stick around until the end, because the last point is something that surprises a lot of people who relocate to the Gulf Coast. But first, if this is your first time on this channel, I'm glad you're here. I'm Miranda Baldridge with Advantage Real Estate, your local go-to realtor and community connector right here in Baldwin County, Alabama. I help people who are moving to Foley, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Robertsdale, and surrounding areas find the right home and make the transition as smooth as possible. So if you're thinking about moving to this area, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I share a lot of videos about what it's like really living here. And honestly, I get calls, texts, and emails every single week from people who are planning a move to the Gulf Coast. And I absolutely love helping people through that process. So if you ever have questions about moving here, don't hesitate to reach out to me. All right, let's get into it. One of the biggest advantages of living in Foley is that you're very close to the beach without necessarily paying beachfront prices. Foley sits just a short drive from Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, which means you can easily enjoy everything that the Gulf Coast has to offer here. For many neighborhoods in Foley, you can usually reach the beach in about 15 or 20 minutes, depending on traffic, depending on where you're going, and depending on time of year. For a lot of residents, that means the beach becomes part of their everyday life rather than something they only do occasionally on vacation. People might head down for a quick sunset walk, spend the afternoon on the water, meet friends for dinner at a waterfront restaurant, or hop over to Fairhope to the pier. At the same time, many homeowners find that when they start looking at homes in Foley compared to beachfront communities, they often get more space, larger lots, and a wider variety of housing options. So many people choose Foley because it offers that perfect balance between coastal lifestyle and practical everyday living. Another reason people are attracted to Foley is that the cost of living compared to other coastal areas is less. When people start researching places near the beach, they often expect everything to be extremely expensive. But many buyers are pleasantly surprised when they start looking at the Gulf Coast, and they realize that this area can still be more affordable than many coastal markets around the country. Housing prices, property taxes, and general living expenses often compare favorably with other popular beach destinations. That doesn't mean homes here are inexpensive. Like everywhere else, prices have increased over the past few years. But compared to many other coastal areas, people often find that they can get more home for their budget. For example, some buyers moving from larger metropolitan areas are able to purchase more homes with more square footage, newer construction, or larger lots compared to what they had before. And for many people, that makes the move here even more appealing. Another thing that people appreciate about living in Foley is that it offers a lot of everyday conveniences. Even though you're close to the beach and you're surrounded by coastal communities, you still have easy access to shopping, grocery stores, restaurants, healthcare services, and other daily essentials. One of the well-known shopping areas here is Tanger Outlets, which brings visitors from all over the region. But beyond that, there's plenty of grocery stores, pharmacies, local restaurants, and retail options that are spread throughout Foley and other areas of Baldwin County. So residents typically don't feel like they need to drive long distances for those everyday errands. That combination of coastal lifestyle and practical convenience is something many people really enjoy about living here. Another big advantage of living in Foley is simply the pace of life. Compared to large metropolitan areas where everything moves quickly, life here tends to feel a little more relaxed. Many people relocate to this part of Alabama specifically because they want a lifestyle that feels less hectic and more balanced. Instead of dealing with long commutes, crowded urban environments, or the constant rush, residents often find that life here allows them to slow down and enjoy their surroundings more. That might mean spending time outdoors, visiting the beach, enjoying local restaurants, or simply having a quieter day-to-day everyday routine. For many people, that slower pace of life is one of the biggest reasons that they decide to move here. Another advantage of Foley, its central location within Baldwin County. From Foley, you're within driving distance of several popular communities along the Gulf Coast. For example, it's very easy to get to Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, which are known for the beaches, restaurants, waterfront attractions. Fairhope's known for downtown. They have a great, charming downtown area, and they're on Mobile Bay. It's also an easy commute to Robertsdale and other nearby towns. And if you ever need access to a larger city environment, Mobile's about an hour away, which offers additional dining, shopping, and entertainment options. We're also very close to Pensacola, Florida. Because of this location, residents often feel like they have access to a wide variety of experiences without having to travel too far. Another thing people notice about Foley is that the area has been growing steadily over the past several years. Baldwin County has seen a lot of growth over the past several years as more people discover the Alabama Gulf Coast. That growth has brought new neighborhoods, new businesses, additional infrastructure to support the expanding population we have. For home buyers, that can mean more housing options, including newer communities and modern home designs. It often also means more restaurants, more shopping options, and more amenities get added as time goes on. So many people view this growth as a sign that the area is continuing to develop and evolve, which is true. Living near the Gulf Coast also means that you have plenty of opportunities to enjoy the outdoors. Residents often spend time at nearby beaches, boating on the water, fishing, kayaking, or exploring local parks. Gulf State Park is a big attraction. The warm climate also allows for outdoor activities throughout much of the year. We also have bald eagle watching at Gulf State Park, by the way. So whether it's walking along the beach, visiting nature preserves, or simply enjoying the coastal scenery, many residents appreciate how easy it is to spend time outside. For people relocating from colder climates, having access to outdoor activities year-round is often a major benefit. Now, of course, no place is perfect, and there are a few things that people should consider before deciding if Foley is the right place for them. One of the biggest adjustments for people relocating to the Gulf Coast is definitely summer weather. Summers here can be very hot and very humid, especially during the peak months of July and August. Temperatures often climb into the 90s, but because of the humidity, it can sometimes feel much hotter than that. If you're coming from a place with a dry climate or a milder summer, that humidity is going to take some getting used to. Many residents adjust their routines during those summer months. For example, outdoor activities are often done earlier in the morning or later in the evening when temperatures are more comfortable. The good news is that living near the coast does help. There's often a breeze that's coming off the Gulf or off of Mobile Bay. And of course, you're only a short drive from the beach or rivers if you want to cool off. But if you're considering moving here, it's definitely something to be aware of because summers along the Gulf Coast are very different from other parts of the country. Another thing people notice after moving here, seasonal traffic, especially during peak tourist season, because Gulf Shores and Orange Beach are major vacation destinations. A lot of visitors come to the area throughout the year, particularly during the summer months and holiday weekends. When tourism's at its peak, roads heading towards the beach can get noticeably busier, especially on the weekends. Us locals often learn that the best times to travel, which routes to take if we're trying to avoid the busiest areas. The positive side of this is that tourism plays a huge role in supporting our local economy and many of the businesses in this area. But for someone new to the area, the difference between off-season and peak season traffic can definitely be an adjustment. Another thing to consider is that Foley is still considered a smaller city compared to larger metropolitan areas. While the area does have a lot of conveniences like restaurants, shopping, entertainment, it doesn't have the same scale of amenities that you might find in a major city. Like if you're used to living somewhere with large downtown districts, professional sports arenas, extensive nightlife, or huge shopping centers on every corner, Foley is going to feel very different. Now, many people, that's actually one of the reasons that they move here. They're looking for a quieter environment and a lifestyle that feels a little less hectic. But if someone's coming from a major metro area like Atlanta, Dallas, like I did, or Chicago, the difference in size and pace of life can take a little bit of an adjustment. Another thing to understand about living near the Gulf Coast is that the coastal regions can experience severe weather from time to time. Like many areas along the southern coastline, we try to stay aware of weather patterns during certain parts of the year. Local authorities and weather services closely monitor conditions. They provide us updates as needed. Most of us simply stay informed and take the same precautions that are common in any other coastal community or really anywhere across the country. Many homes in the region are also built with coastal weather conditions in mind. We have gold fortified homes. While weather is something people should always be aware of, most of us simply see it as a part of living near the coast, and we plan accordingly. Another thing that people who have lived here for a while will tell you is that Baldwin County has been growing quickly. More and more people from different parts of the country have been discovering the Alabama Gulf Coast and deciding to relocate here. Matter of fact, Baldwin County is the second fastest growing county in the state and the seventh fastest growing county in the nation. As a result, we have seen lots of new housing developments, new businesses, and infrastructure improvements. For many of us, this growth is exciting because it brings more restaurants, more shopping options, and more amenities. We get more things to do. But growth can also mean things like more construction, new neighborhoods are being built, and sometimes that increases traffic in certain areas as the community expands. It's simply part of what happens when an area becomes more popular. Another thing to know about living in Foley is that the area is very car dependent. All of Baldwin County is. Unlike some larger cities that have trains, subways, or extensive public transportation systems, most people here rely on driving to get around. Residents typically drive to work. We drive to grocery stores, restaurants, and nearby communities. Many people, it's not really a big deal. Driving is simply part of everyday life in most suburban and coastal areas. But if you're coming from a city where you could walk everywhere or rely heavily on public transportation, this is going to feel like a little bit of a change for you. Another interesting thing about living near a popular beach destination is that the population changes throughout the year. During peak tourist seasons, especially in those summer months, the area becomes much busier as visitors come to enjoy the beaches and the attractions. Restaurants, beaches, and local businesses tend to see a lot more activity during those times. But during other parts of the year, the pace of life slows back down again and things become a little quieter. For many of us, that seasonal rhythm is actually something that we enjoy. But it's something to be aware of if you're considering living in a coastal community like this. So those are some of the biggest pros and cons of living in Foley, Alabama. For many people, Foley offers a really appealing combination of coastal lifestyle, convenient amenities, and easy access to everything along the Alabama Gulf Coast. But like anywhere, the best place to live really depends on your lifestyle, your priorities, and what you're looking for in a community. And if you're thinking about moving to Foley, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Robertsdale, or anywhere else in Baldwin County, feel free to reach out to me. I help people relocate to this area all the time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about homes, neighborhoods, the buying process. I can get you in touch with a good lender. You can call, text, or email me anytime. All of my contact information will be in the description below. If you found this video helpful, I'm glad. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because I share a lot of videos about what it's really like living here along the Alabama Gulf Coast. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.